Usually the last speaker is the fastest speaker because you have to make time, and I think they're all very well, and I'm supportive of the panelists on what they have. I'm approaching the Thailand experiences with two major questions. The first one, do we have policy legislative frameworks to deal with foodborne disease and public health shocks in place? Well, the answer is yes. And what then is the issue? Let me tell you, the authorities to deal with that is divided majorly between two ministries. Ministry of Agriculture deal with upstream production and the food and export commodities to international. Ministry of Public Health dealt with imported commodities and processed food that consume in Thailand. Now that in itself is already, there's a gap. Within each ministry, there's about 6 to 8 divisions or units dealing with the same issue in, more likely. I don't know if it happens in your country, but in Thailand, when some unit or certain unit does not function, they create a new one. By the end of the day, you have many cooks running around the kitchen trying to cook the same dish. Too many cooks spoil the dish. So we have that issue to deal with. What is the resolution? Well, Thailand has already started to think about already forming the National Food Commission. So you have one authoritative body chaired by the Prime Minister or Vice Prime Minister, and underneath that, the Risk Analysis Committee as well as multi-agency coordination group that will coordinate certain foodborne disease depends on the nature of that. So it's an ad hoc, and there's FAO, WHO, all those guidelines apply. So that is one of the things that we need to do. Now let's take a look at legislation. This is really fun to go through. I found 24 food laws in 7 line ministries, dated from 1926 to 2008. Good luck to anyone who wants to implement those, because it's really a chaotic. You have to go through all those, and the line of authorities in the previous year was so much vertical. So now that you need to work across the board, the law did not help you. So that also needs to be reformed. What is the propeller for Thailand to reform? Well, I can tell you, it's ASEAN Economic Community in 2015. And many of my colleagues knows about this. With that, the food will travel. People will travel. Foodborne disease is going to be, the food safety is going to be major. How do you deal with food safety in terms of standards regulation across the borders? You need to reform, because or else you cannot comply. You have to align, and that is where we need food standard regulation and trade in ASEAN, and also to deal with the inter-regional, from ASEAN to Europe to other regions of the world. Southeast Asia are the bowl of food production. So these are where we need to be. Second question, are there any good practice at provincial and community level to look into how to handle the foodborne disease? Why the government, as you know how Thailand is facing that political shocks at the moment, the community from the previous year did not wait for the government to get their act together. They act, because it's their problems that they have to solve. It's life and death. So what do they do? Well, we have a central guideline that was sent to the provincial level. At the moment, Thailand has decentralized the governance to sub-district level. So at the sub-district level, they receive budget. They can handle certain things. And one of the things that they do is that the community and local officers came to see us, the researcher or academia, asking for help. Case study, palm sugar. This is a very well-known area, certain areas that you can do palm sugar and it's very famous. They use whitening agent, which is hazardous materials. And for years, that has caused a lot of problem in food safety. So when the research team went in, the team of researchers, community, local officers helped to solve the problem and came up with a guideline of how to produce the safe palm sugar that would meet the standards and can be sent out or sell to other countries as well as within Thailand. This one, I think, has served as a lesson learned for us that there are local wisdoms. We need to also work with them. Without that, it's not going to work. Lessons from provincial community, I think, are important. It reflects there are certain models that you have to learn from. So between macro level in the first question and micro level, if we want to make it to work, you have to bring these two knowledge together. I'm in agreement that evidence that come in from different sources are valuable in order to frame how we can move forward. And that has been one of the things that I want to share with you with. I hope I'm in time. Thank you very much.